Hi guys, Ben Parsons on the Blu-ray Ben channel, and finally I'm going to do my top 10 favourite movies. You know, a lot of people have asked me to do this video. I've also wanted to do it for a while, but sort of never got around to it. So I, eventually did. I went through my movie collection, my DVDs and my Blu-rays, and sort of wrote down a list of what I consider my favourite movies. And when I finished, I had 25. And that's what weeded those down to 10. So they're not going to be in any particular order, but they are the 10 that I consider, at least at the moment, my favourite movies. Maybe if I'd have done it a year ago, the list would have been different, or, in a couple of years it'll change, because these things do change. But these, at this moment in time, I consider these to be my favourite movies. If your favourite movie is not on the list, that's my opinion, and maybe it was in the 15 that sort of weeded out. But, don't get sort of annoyed or insulted if I haven't got any of your favourite movies on my list, because this is my personal list, and I obviously like these films for my own reasons. So I'm going to get straight to it. As I said, no particular order. I'm just going to sort of talk about them a bit, and please leave a comment down below. Maybe let me know what your favourite movies are, or even do a video response. And yeah, let's get started. So the first film is a film directed by Edward Zwick. It's a 2003 film, and since the first day I saw it, it's probably been one of my favourite films, and it's The Last Samurai, starring Tom Hanks. He gives an absolutely amazing performance. Some people don't like him as an actor. I think, recently his last few films have been really good. I enjoyed Edge of Tomorrow. I also enjoyed Oblivion, and The Last Samurai was, amazing in my opinion. Great film. It's got some great performances. Billy Connolly gives a great performance, as well as Timothy Spall, and Ken Watanabe, who's a Japanese actor. He's really good, and I always love him in any films he does, and he's amazing in this. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. It's one of these soundtracks that I put on YouTube and I listen to it while I'm cleaning the house. I can never get bored of the soundtrack, so it's just something more to add to the great experience of when you're watching this. And basically, I also like the war aspect of it. It's about the modern army in Japan who are trying to modernize warfare. They sort of want Tom Cruise to come in and sort of take out the samurai, who are, the old way of fighting, the old style of fighting, and they live up in the hills, and he's hired to, sort of take them out. And something changes, something goes wrong, the plan doesn't go as well as it's, expected, and basically that's the film. So yeah, an absolutely amazing film, and highly recommended. Definitely check it out. Okay, the next film is a 2006 film. It's one of those films that, not a lot of people speak about, and some people have told me that they didn't like it at all. But as I said, it's my opinion, and it's the 2006 film Perfume, the story of a murderer. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was really interesting. There's some really great performances in this too. The main actor is Ben Whishaw, I think his name is. I haven't seen him in many things, but he does give a good performance. And also Alan Rickman and Dustin Hoffman are in this film, and they always give great performances. Yeah, basically it's about a man who's born, with a special ability of smell. He can smell anything he wants, really far away. And he sort of his role in life for him, he believes it to be, is to find the perfect perfume or perfect smell. And to get that, he sort of realizes that he has to sort of take odors from women, from their skin, and mix them together to get the perfect perfume. I really enjoy murder films, where you don't know who the murderer is, and then people are gonna sort of catch him, and crime-based murder films like this. And this one's just filmed in a really beautiful way. The colours they use, the way that they describe the smells and things like that, it's absolutely amazing. And especially the first scene in Paris, I think they do it really well. And it's one of those films that I can watch over and over again, and I never get bored of. So yeah, highly recommended. The Perfume, story of a murderer. Okay, the next film is a 2012 film directed by Quentin Tarantino. This is probably a lot more well known than the other two. It's Django Unchained. And yeah, absolutely love Quentin Tarantino, and this is probably, in my opinion, his best film. Haven't seen The Hateful Eight yet, gotta go and watch it, but I will get around to it. And yeah, Django Unchained, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx, and Christoph Waltz all give amazing performances, absolutely amazing. Once again, the soundtrack, perfect. I always love Quentin Tarantino's soundtracks, and I love this sort of style of western that he does, and the way that he films. Well, if you know who Quentin Tarantino is, you know that he likes his blood, he likes his violence, but he does it in a way that's really interesting. And basically, if you haven't seen this film and you do like Quentin Tarantino, definitely get onto it now, because it's absolutely amazing. Django Unchained. Okay, the next film is a film directed by Martin Scorsese. It's my favourite Martin Scorsese film. I do have another one in this list, and it's Gangs of New York. As you can see there, it stars Daniel Day-Lewis, Cameron Diaz, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Absolutely amazing film. It was one of those films that I think people love it or hate it, but I really enjoyed it. Once again, an amazing soundtrack. The imagery in this film is absolutely amazing. It is a long film, but for me, it doesn't drag at all. And basically, it's about New York. You say in New York a long time ago when they were it was controlled by gangs, and during the Civil War and when the Irish were coming over, on the boats, and they organized gangs together, basically. And it's just really interesting. It's very difficult to sort of explain the movie, what the plot is, because it is a bit here and there, but definitely worth a watch. And as I said, the imagery is absolutely amazing, and the soundtrack is great. And Daniel Day-Lewis gives an amazing performance as the Butcher. And yeah, what more can I say about this film? Absolutely love Gangs of New York. Okay, the next one is another Martin Scorsese film. It also stars Leonardo DiCaprio, so I've got 3 films with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. The Aviator. This is one that not a lot of people talk about. When they talk about Martin Scorsese, they talk about Goodfellas, they talk about Casino, things like that. I love all his films, but a lot of people don't talk about this. I think it's absolutely amazing. It's one of those films that just blew me away. It's a bit slower than the other films, and obviously there's not any violence like most of his other films. But I think it's an excellent biopic. About I can't remember his name. Who did Leonardo DiCaprio? Don't know if it'll say it here. Yeah, Howard Hughes. It's about Howard Hughes, and Leonardo DiCaprio gives an amazing performance. Absolutely amazing. I don't know how he didn't win the Oscar with this. And Cate Blanchett and Kate Beckinsale also star in this, give great performances too. And it just blew me away. It really did blow me away about the story of Howard Hughes and what he did with his life right from start right to finish. And really interesting if you like biopics and things like this, and filmed beautifully. But definitely check it out, The Aviator. Okay, the next film was a film that I actually picked up, recently, about 6 months ago. But I've already watched it about 5 or 6 times. It's about one of my favourite sports, which is Formula 1. And you don't need to like Formula 1 to enjoy it, but if you like Formula 1, I think it'll be better. And it's the film Rush. A lot of people talk about this. It's directed by Ron Howard. And, there's not actually a lot of racing, and it's more about, the lives of these 2 drivers. And I think it's just it's a really interesting film, to see that how humans, can reach some levels to get what they want, to try and succeed. And it doesn't matter what happens in their lives, that all they focus on is succeeding. Basically, it's about these 2 drivers during one particular season where something, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but something happens, and these 2 drivers are rivals, and it's about this particular season and what happens during the season. So absolutely amazing. You don't have to like Formula 1 to watch it, but I highly recommend it. And it's one of these films that if you've got like a surround sound system, it sounds absolutely amazing, with the cars and things like that. And highly recommend it. Rush. Okay, the next one is one of my favorite directors, Bennett Miller. It stars Brad Pitt, and it's Moneyball. And basically, it's about baseball. It's about a team that's one of those lower league teams, but has a great season, and explains to you how Brad Pitt took this team nearly to winning. And I think it's just really interesting. I like baseball. I'm not a huge fan. I'm British, so we don't really have baseball over here. So I'm not useful. I don't really control, what teams are the best and what aren't the best and things like that. All the stats. So you Americans will probably know a lot more about it than me. But I did enjoy the film. Great performance by Brad Pitt, and it's just really interesting to watch. And I can watch it over and over, and I never get bored. So once again, you don't have to sort of love baseball to watch it. You'll enjoy it, and it's about something that Brad Pitt does as a manager, and changes like the way people bought players in baseball, the way they manage their teams. And it's just one of those things that's really interesting, and I think everyone should watch. Also stars, I can't remember his name. I always forget his name. Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill stars, and this is one of his earlier films, and he gives a great performance. I think this is one of these films that sort of helped him on his way to his great career now. It also stars the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, who gives he's got a small role, but he gives a good performance too. So yeah, check it out. Okay, another film. This is a film that I talk about quite a lot on my channel, so if you follow my channel, you've probably heard me talk about it before. It stars Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and it's the film Warrior. And it's about, mixed martial arts, or the UFC. I'm not going to give you too many details because it'll give it away, because it's very simple, the film. Basically about fighting. If I give you too many details away, it'll ruin the film. But definitely one of these films that, you need... how do I explain it? Me, it pumps me up. When I watch it, I always watch it the night before I do a triathlon, because it sort of really gets me riled up and gets me energized, you know, for the next day. One of these films that show how people can, you know, reach their goals if they really want to, and it's a film that just sort of blew me away, and in the way that it was filmed, in the way that they make you feel, the characters, you know, they're done really well. You really believe that they are fighters, they're not just actors, and I think it's filmed really well. You know, the part of the fighting with the UFC and the commentators and things like that, and the crowds, I think it's done really well. Nick Nolte's also in this as well. He gives a great performance, and one of these films that if you don't like it, I don't understand why you don't like it. Even if you don't like MMA or anything like that, it's just one of these films that you have to respect that it's an amazing film. Warrior. Okay, now we get down to the last two. I know I said that I'm not going to put them in any particular order of my favourites, but I think these two have to be my favourite two films. I'm not going to tell you which is one and which is two, but I'm going to start off with this one, which is another film starring Brad Pitt, and it's The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Absolutely amazing film. One of these films that not a lot of people talk about. I think it's filmed beautifully. The soundtrack is beautiful. The performances given in this film are absolutely amazing. There's so many famous actors. If I can sort of find them: Sam Rockwell, Jeremy Renner, Mary Louise Parker, Sam Shepard, Casey Affleck, Brad Pitt. You know, so many great actors, and they knock it out of the park. Absolutely amazing. Basically, it's about obviously Jesse James. You know, the last few years of his life, and about the man Robert Ford who eventually killed him, and how that sort of came about, and then also the aftermath of what happened after Jesse James died and what happened to Robert Ford. But the way it's filmed, it's absolutely amazing. It's got there's a commentator that's sort of commentating the film all the way through. So basically, all you see is the actors' interactions, you know, the dialogue that they had between each other, and then everything else is explained by a narratist. So it's one of those films. I don't see a lot of films filmed like this, but I think it's done really well, and it's out obviously in the American outback, if you can call it that. I don't know what you call it, you know, out in the hay fields where there's nothing there. They've got a few houses, but you know, you have to go everywhere on horse. You know, it takes them days to get there. So obviously it was very difficult for them to catch him because he was moving from place to place. But an amazing film, and Brad Pitt, probably one of his best performances ever in this film. Okay, and the last one. Another film starring Daniel Day-Lewis. It's one of these films, I think it was 2007. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor, like he nearly always does for his performances, and it's There Will Be Blood. What can I say about this film? It's very difficult to describe the plot. Basically, it's about an oil man who sort of strikes it rich because you know, he works his ass off during his whole life, from having nothing to being, you know, like a multimillionaire, and it's basically his story of how he sort of got there, and the things he had to go through to get to be, you know, this millionaire oilman. Apart from that, I can't really explain a lot more. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, so if you like him as a director, you'll love this film. But if you don't like Paul Thomas Anderson as a director, it might be one of these films that you find a bit slow, a bit boring. But the soundtrack's amazing, the visuals absolutely amazing, the acting perfect. And for me, it's a really interesting film, and it's one that I can watch over and over. And it's also one of these films, you know, it's got you know, when actors sort of work off each other, and they can, you know, two actors give a duo role that's absolutely amazing. Well, this is probably the best duo in any film I've ever seen. Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, and you know, they hate each other in the film, and they sort of work really well together, and the scenes that they're in together, it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, There Will Be Blood, definitely check it out. So there you go, my 10 favourite movies. I know there's no epic films like, you know, Terminator 2 or Aliens and things like that, but they were in my, you know, my favourites that I sort of weeded out. So yeah, please let me know down below what you thought of my films. Leave a comment, maybe leave your list down below, or do a video response. I'd love to see that. And you know, thanks for sticking with me during this video, because I always like sharing, you know, my favourite films with you. Take care, guys.